because I think they bought back a couple of ones. Yeah, I still feel a plonk-it for that. But blame it on the fact that modern cars, I can't tell the difference between which is which. Not being silly or anything, it's just when you design a car on a computer, you put something into a computer, it's going to come up with the same solution no matter what manufacturer you are, or no matter what range it is. This is why I kind of miss having people actually use a pencil and a drawing board. Say, if we look next door to this Vauxhall Cresta, that was obviously designed by, that was never a computer. There's someone that probably understood aerodynamics and had to calculate it in their head. Also looks quite American actually. But I would have the V8 out of this and put it in there. Even though this has obviously been a very nice design. Probably the last of the really good Jags actually. That I think there's something called an XJ, which is a sedan, which I would like if I could ever afford it. That is the big kicker. So here's a Vauxhall Cresta, as I pointed out earlier. Looks very American. It's like, you know, it's late 50s Chevrolets, the Tri-5s. And to my right it's saying still classic, but for its time highly advanced. So it's a Citroen DS Palace. So that is quite a late one. If we go next door to that, we see a, what is that one? Thunderbird. Yeah, so there's a Ford Thunderbird 1977 car. Something about the late 70s in America kind of makes me think, very nice car though, very nice. So here's a Chevrolet Corvette C3 Stingray, shark nose, 1976. So again, I suspect people have already done something about the engine side of it. There's that looks like a 300ZX. Seen that one before. Looks very American in some way. Thought that's what some friends of mine thought. Here's another Hillman. That looks like a Hillman Avenger from 1976 one. I think we're about to, if we have a look here, we see a Porsche 911 1967, so quite an early one. Jaguar E-Type Series 3. Someone thoughtfully has left the Jaguar on top of it, and it actually sets the car off really well. And it's the V12, that one. There's a 390, I think it's a 1969 Ford Mustang with the 390 cubic inch. Next to that's a Ford Escort Mark 1 Mexico. And what is this one? There's another NG. Again, NG, not MG. It's one along the alphabet. In case people mishear me. It's not his, but
Hello there.
hello. I've heard of MG, but I've never heard of an NG, one along the alphabet. I am having to note it like that.
Well, fascinatingly, there's 3 of our mark here today.
Yeah, 'cause I think I saw one up there somewhere.
Yeah, the one to see in that section over there. This is runs on MGB running gear.
Okay.
So 1800 running gear. The one over there runs on 3.5 or 3.9 litre V8. And it's beautiful. And it's got the old boat tail.
Oh right, I'll have to have a look.
These cars were they're sort of custom built cars that were designed in the 70s. They were designed on the Aston Martin front of the 30s.
Okay.
And then and the bodywork is the MGs of the 50s. So you've got the TA, TC, TD, and TF. This is the TF Roadster with the running board.
Oh,
wheels.
right.
So
So basically, it was kind of just trying to think what it would be, custom or not a replica, is it?
Well, I mean,
Something
they're just called kit cars, but I mean, I would call it a custom built car more than kit.
Yeah, I would.
Sort of thing.
I'd probably prefer someone else to build it if I wanted it done right, but I could probably put something like that together. But I would probably take my time and not use a hammer. I'm thinking of someone when I say about the hammer.
This is the attraction of these cars. I mean, obviously they are the GRP bodywork. Other than this is all aluminium, that bit, but so easy to work on. And you could everything lifts off, and it's just good cars to work on, and they shift basically. They're ever so light. So
it's because I remember the skit on a particularly famous TV show where the three presenters were trying to put a kit car together while their tame racing driver was driving from London to Scotland, and had to try and get there and go past the finishing line to see whether it's quicker to build one in a day or whether it's quicker to drive up to Scotland.
Yeah, it'll take a bit longer than a day.
Yeah, someone did say, if you're like, I think it's James May, if you're like James May, you take 300 years to put it together, you will get it done correctly. But if you ask me to do it with a hammer, you might not.
Yeah. No,
because that's the difference between those three.
The one I'm building, it's taken me a year so far, and probably another 6 months off, I think.
Yeah, because I look at something like that and I just think, what would I put in it, engine-wise? But there's hardly anything that could be front to rear drive. Even the most powerful cars I see now are front wheel drive, and I don't want to do that if I was doing this.
Yeah, but I mean, it depends how much road tax you want to pay nowadays. Because if you buy a car that it's untouched, it's been untouched for sort of over 35 years, and it becomes of historic interest, you don't pay any road tax on it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm paying over £300 road tax a year for that. So it costs me nothing, basically.
Mine's only 125, I think.
But if I put, and it's because it's got the same engine that was built in the 80s, so it's got the same engine. If I upgrade it to, say, I stuck a Ford Pinto engine in, I'd lose the historic status, and immediately I have to take an IVA test with the DVLA, and I have to start paying, £300. So
yeah, because I've heard of the IVA test.
Yeah,
it's very strict.
Yeah. So if you're getting these cars and you want to build them, it's best to get a crap car that's got historic status and rebuild it yourself. Take it to bits and rebuild it to your own specification or to your own quality or whatever. But don't affect the historic status.
Yeah, got to think of these. I must admit that is a good point, because on some cars they're paying stupid amount of tax. It's like
well, it's about £340 a year. In a year it'd be £350. In 2 or 3 years it'd be £400.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really for the likes of sort of people that are like me. I haven't got too much money. The difference between having to pay £300 or £400 and not each year for as long as you've got the car. Seems big important thing that is. So that's my tip of the day.
Cheers for that.
You're welcome.
Also got the Bexhill 100 Motoring Club badge on it.
Yep.
I actually have that on the front of my Vauxhall Corsa, because I went, but it's not interesting enough to display, so it's in the boring car park. But I did think about changing it slightly so it would become interesting, but I think in that a bit it might become interesting just by surviving, like all these Morris Minors. They're interesting because but I did think about what would happen if, say, the 1.2 A12 XCR, which I've got, could it be turbocharged? I've always had a thing for VXRs, just never been able to afford to actually go out and get one and terrorise the people of Ashford in it when I go to work.
I wish you the best.
Cheers, sir. There's a Ford Fiesta Mark 1 next to a little Fiat 500. Now that is a proper Fiat 500. That would have had a 2-cylinder engine. Looks like a really late on one as well. Now I've done part whatever it is of the classic cars, I'm going to go have a look at these bicycles, because what I want to do is go take a look at the motorbikes. I think it might be time for refreshments. There's some more cars over there, so if I go up and around motorbikes and down, do that and do tractors. There's some bicycles, and here's the Greaves Battle of Burwash bike. Nice. Here's a couple of motorised bicycles. One's by Honda. Oh look, a Yamaha XJ. Another little Yamaha. And there's a couple of, there's a BSA and there's a Honda CB200 in the background there. They've just turned up today. Right, I'm just gonna have a look at. Right, I'm gonna just be aware the vehicle's moving, because not everyone is on time. Traffic, engine. This is all the fun of a road trip. This is what makes road trips and that fun. You don't. There's another Honda there. Looks like it's a water cooled one. But here we are. We see the BSA Owners Club and the BSA Bantam Owners Club here. So BSA Owners Club looks like they're having an open day. Oh, where's this? Let's have a little read of that poster. 6 Bells Chidding Light. Might go. Here's a BSA. There's some more motorbikes turning up. They're probably all going in there, so wait until I get in there. Here's a BSA. Which one's that one? There's a couple more BSAs here. So so that's a BSA A65 Lightning. There's a CMR 47C, no, BSA D7 Bantam. There's a Triumph, and there's a Royal Enfield here. Right, so here's a Royal Enfield. Anyone remember those? There's a Harley Davidson, don't know which one that is. It's not a Softail classic, is it? I can't read upside down. There's a Suzuki something R350. Oh, what's this? That's a WLC. Okay. So there's a DR350 Suzuki. There's a Honda again. And I think I'm in his way, so I'm just gonna, yeah, there's a couple of Volkswagen camper vans, a caravan. Right, that's that done. That's the Vintage Motorcycle Club. I'd like to give a shout out to them. Here's a BSA Bantam Preservation Group. There's the three post office BSA Bantams. There's a bicycle. I'm not really into them, but there's some more BSAs here. There's another D7 Bantam. Someone's thoughtfully put the sign up. Cheers. Another D7 and a D1 Plunger. Why would they call a motorbike a plunger? Odd choice of name, but I'd like to give a shout out to the BSA Preservation Group. There's a D1 plunge. What's that? I don't know what that green one is, but there's a D1 plunger there. Right, I'm going to move my way round because I'm going to do a few more. Yeah, so that's the BSA Bantam Preservation Group. There's some more motorbikes here. I've got no way of knowing where I'm supposed to enter, so I'm going to be a bit naughty. But here's a Norton 750 Commando, just there. There's an AJS here. Another one of these motorised bicycles with a Solex engine on the front. Here's a Velocet. God, how do I pronounce these things? There's a Honda. There's a Honda 175. Over there's a Suzuki as well as a Kawasaki. Oh, I think I've done these ones now. Oh, the American Customs are going to, what's it? Right, so here's a Suzuki 750. Next to that's a Moto Guzzi V50 Mark II. Here's a BSA. Just going to go over here now because I've just seen a couple of rather interesting bikes with sidecars, so just going to go take a look at this one. So this is a BSA Golden Flash with a sidecar on it. Oh, they must be going into the arena, so they'll be back soon enough. There's a Piaggio Supersport moped with a sidecar. It wasn't terribly comfortable. There's a AJS with a sidecar over there. Just about here, like. Try and get a view of this. There we are. Right, we now see a Suzuki GT 750, and it's a liquid cooled. In other words, water cooled. It's a Royal Enfield. There's a BSA. Honda RC Honda. Another little Honda there. Oh my god, it's a Honda 350. Why do I keep thinking? Why do I remember something like that? There's Suzuki. Nice to look at these actually. So that's 125, that one. There's a superbike of some kind. What is that? That's a 600, so Suzuki. Here's a little bicycle with a tinsy wincy engine on it. There's another Honda. There's a Honda. What is that one? Honda 1000 next to the bicycle. There's a Triumph, and next to that's another BSA. I'm just gonna go over to the Scamel, which is an RAF recovery vehicle. So here's a Scamel Pioneer RAF recovery vehicle over here. I'll do some more classic cars a bit later on, but I've got to try and work my way over to where the commercials are, or I might do that after refreshments actually. I've never seen one of those. What is it? What the heck is this? Yeah, so that I'm gonna have to. Where's my handy guidebook? No. I remember last time I tried to consult a handy guidebook, and unfortunately I had a lot of problems with it. But it's called a Euclid or a Euslid S7, and it looks like saying you might, I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. It's a weird looking thing. Here's a Ferguson painted in black, and it looks like it's turbocharged. It's called Wendy. Here's a Massey Ferguson 35. The tractors are pretty much, oh god. Obviously the kid needs an exorcism. Better get a priest on that one. Needs an exorcism. So there's a Massey Ferguson 35. Next to that is another Ferguson. Don't know what that one is. I have to. It says BMC tractor, so it could be a Nuffield. But it's a really weird looking Nuffield. Here's a Minneapolis Moline. I've seen that one before somewhere. If we take a look along here, we see an Alice Chalmers, just here. Next to that is an Ota. There's a Fordson Power Major. If we go a bit further along, we see a Massey Ferguson. Must be a 35, I should think. Another Fordson Major. I hope he's not coming this way. Oh no. Some people are inconsiderate. Here's a Renault tractor. Next to that's Ferguson painted in yellow. Fordson Major, quite an early one. Here's a Massey Ferguson 550. Here's an International B275 next to another International B250 painted in green. Here's a Super Dexter by Fordson. There's a David Brown Cropmaster next to another Ferguson. I think it's a TEF20. There's a bluey coloured Ferguson TE20, I think. Next to there's a Leyland here. Nuffield Universal BMC diesel. Here's a Massey Ferguson 2130. Here's a 135. Driven one of those before. Here's a David Brown case. I don't think which one that is. And oh, this one's an interesting one. This one is, if I don't fall down a molehill, there's a McCormick Deering. That is an early one. We just move around here. I've just seen a rather interesting, don't know what the heck it is. It looks like one of these. It might be a, not a combine harvester, but some sort of harvesting device. Just about there. And I think, and it looks like a Ferguson, Massey Ferguson. Right, we now go around here. We see. Right, so there's a Ford 3000. I'm going to try and get into here just to see if I can get a better view, because I don't tend to park the tractors particularly well here. There's a Ford 4000 T-Boys tractor. Here's a Wheelhorse 800. Another little Ferguson next to a Nuffield Universal. There's a Fordson Major, quite an early one with the hand crank. Ford 6610. Here's a Ford 2000 or Ford Dexter. It's not Fordson, it's a Ford Dexter. There we are. There's a Massey Ferguson 135. Here's a Ferguson. Here's a Fordson Model N. Here's a Leyland here, painted yellow, weirdly enough. Here's a case. If we go around here, I'm going to go to this Ferguson here. There's the Ferguson. Here's a Fordson Power Major. Go Power Major. Sorry, I was just thinking of that. Here's another little Fordson here. That's a Super Dexter again. So that's either Fordson or a Ford Super Dexter. There we are. Here's a Nuffield Universal again. Here's a Fordson Major Diesel. There's a lot of Fordson Majors at Netley Marsh this year. They were celebrating something there. Here's a, that looks like a, is that a, not sure what that is. Here's an Alice Chalmers, I saw that earlier. Next to another Universal, next to a Nuffield Universal 3. Here's a Fordson Model N. Notice the hand crank and the World War II paint job. This is to stop it being spotted from the air. Also has a flathead. Looks like a flat 4-cylinder flathead. So that would be similar to the Ford Model A and Model B. And if we look over here, we see an Alice Chalmers and a Farmall Cub. There we are. I think that's all the tractors done. Ah, there's another steam engine here. Now if we look here, that's an Aveling and Porter road locomotive, and it's powering a threshing machine. Hopefully they might get something going in a minute. Doesn't always happen. So here's a threshing machine by Marshall. There we are. I might try and video this running tomorrow, but I might not. There's a baling machine there by Ransoms, and there's a Field Marshal there in orange. I'm going to get a closer look at that. There's a couple more tractors to look at as well. There's a Fordson Model N, well, special, so wartime paint job again. Fordson Major next to a David Brown Cropmaster. So let's go have a look at this Field Marshal. Yeah, so this is a Field Marshal, single cylinder 2-stroke diesel. Yeah, it's a diesel one. They're quite interesting. There's the Ransoms baling machine. So if I go over here, there's a sawmill being powered by what looks to be a Burrell. So there's a Burrell road locomotive here. Don't need to stick around too much, but if we look here, we see a David Brown 990 next to a John Deere 2130. Just about here. And I think I've seen this before. This is a miniature McCormick W9 powering a miniature Ransoms threshing machine and a baling machine. Notice how they set up the belts. This actually demonstrates how they set the belts up so they could just power things using a tractor. What a brilliant idea.